Seamus, on a similar note of sort of big decisions, did any bean counters or anybody try to talk you out of shipping a console that had a then useless, more or less useless Ethernet port? I mean, you could use it for System Link, but you know, Xbox Live was just this thing you were going to do down the road. Did anybody go, you shouldn't, let's not put that in there?
Part of this job is the line of bean counters out your door trying to talk you out of everything that's cool. That and the hard drive were totally new. And you know, there'd been a failed experiment over at Sega with, you know, with some online play,
right,
even in a football game, and a football game can't even carry online play. None of these kids want to play online. And meanwhile, you know, anybody knew anything, which, you know, about games, which involved, you know, everyone working on Xbox, and all our friends and every game designer we ever knew saw this phenomenon exploding on the PC, exploding. And the only thing holding back online gaming was the fact that you essentially had to be a hobbyist and know how to set up a PC and the network connections in order to play. But anybody who had a friend who had that setup would go play, and they would never stop playing. So again, just like games being really obvious to us, this was a big market, and if you just, you know, if you just get it over the line, you'll be okay. Same thing was obviously true with online games, obviously true. And the problem doesn't stop with the hardware cost, the Ethernet, or that engineering, that only begins. The problem then extends to everything we had to do with all the internet service providers, all the infrastructure, all the ways that firewalls have been set up, and latency and gateways and ping and security, and all of that had to be worked out, literally worked out one at a time with all of those guys to make it work. And people forget that now, because now the internet of the entire world is essentially optimized for online games. This is no joke. Yeah. It's not optimized even for porn anymore like it is optimized for online games. That is what it is optimized to do, because that makes everything better and faster that you could possibly do online. But there was a time when you'd have a conversation with a, you know, a Comcast, and they'd say, "What, games? No, this is probably not secure. What is it, 14-year-olds?" You're like, no. It's a big business.
Were you confident that Live was going to work? Because what people forget is Live didn't ship, Xbox Live didn't launch until a year after the console. It was just this sort of thing that was promised. I remember we wrote about it in OXM, like Xbox Live is coming.
Let's go back and look at the old news stories about the skepticism about that. And now it seems really obvious. It's really interesting.
And it was this broadband only service in a 56K dial-up age. So were you guys, what were the sort of expectations for the attach rate for how people would take to Xbox Live? Were there even subscription goals, or was it just, we just need to get this out there?
When you start something like this, okay, there are two things that happen if you're really honest with yourself. The first thing is you need to really passionately believe in it, and it really helps if you're in the target audience, so that you know if the thing you're making, if you would buy it, then you're in pretty good shape, so you start there. Then you make up a ton of numbers, and you lie to management about the size of the market. You say, in the best possible world, and you can't do this when you have a mature business, because there are numbers to track. Sure. Okay, but you know, when it's brand new and you just believe in it, right? If you believe in it enough, you make up the best possible scenario that could ever happen, and projection, and you make sure that you have a demo and you have at least one customer out there, some ISP somewhere in the world where it's going to work and it's going to be flawless, and you test it, you make sure that it's flawless, and then you go and you say it's going to work just like this everywhere. And it was true. But boy, you know, it was not obvious at the time. It really, really, really wasn't. Like, can you imagine even sitting in front of any computing device that doesn't have a broadband connection anymore?
No. Okay. No, they're in our phones.
And when the first Xbox came out, like, that was a novelty. Right. You know? Yeah. It was a novelty. It wasn't even really the case yet. Like now, and for, you know, since maybe 2002 or 2003, if you set something in front of a computer that doesn't have an internet connection, it's uncomfortable, it's weird, it's not quite clear what you're going to do, right? For all of history up until then, people never had a connection. Right. And so that was a big moment.